What happened?
Well, there was a huge upset with involving Israel Adesanya.
By the way, who called that?
Did Izzy fight this week?
Who called that?
I think I did.
No, you didn't, Dave. You can't. We have the proof.
I think I said when we first talked about this that you'd have to favor Alex Pereira.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure I did.
You didn't say that. Can you guys do me a favor? Go look up last week's episode and see what Dave said.
I'm not sure I said it last week. I think I said it a while back.
Okay.
I don't know what I said last week. I don't remember. I think I did say when we first fought this that, like, look, Israel's not going to, like, really be able to use offensive wrestling. I was wrong about that. He did get him down once. But I was like, this is going to be a kickboxing fight, and that kind of favors the guy who's beaten him twice in kickboxing and then went on to become the best kickboxer. I'll say watching the fight live, if you had asked me to make a pick going into the 5th round, I would have picked Izzy to win the fucking fight. But it was a great fight.
Look, dude, what I said last week, this is the moment of truth, right? I mean, bang. Yeah, dude, Pereira, he hits like a fucking tank, dude.
He really hit him
wow.
hard.
Bang,
but
bang,
I
bang,
will still
bang,
say,
bang.
in my opinion, little bit early.
I'll give it a little bit of an early.
Little bit early. I'd like that posture. Now, again, I'm not saying it's a very tough job being a ref.
Well, he's intelligently defending himself.
He's
rewind it for a second. Rewind it. Yeah, he's weaving. He's bobbing. He's weaving. And
no, look, he's hurt. No question about that.
Bang.
But
he also stops it on a non-hit. Like he's avoiding those last 3 punches. He avoided by moving his head.
One of them might have landed.
Good. Watch it again. I don't think so, dude. He's bobbing. He's bobbing.
Miss.
He missed, dude. Then
those
he comes in.
Those last
3 punches
You're the champion of the world. It's the 5th round. I just kind of feel like
what else is the definition of intelligently defending yourself except for bobbing and weaving and avoiding shots? He was hurt, yes. However, and look, I don't like Izzy. I'm not even a big Izzy fan, right? I've never really his thing has never really resonated with me, right? And I was rooting against him in this fight. But call a spade here. Izzy was still technically in that fight, and he was also winning the fight on points and on the scorecards. How much time was left in that fight? I'm sorry. Coop, pull it up again. Let me know how much time was left in that fight. If he would have not been stopped there, he probably would have won it on the judges' scorecards. How much time was left in the fight, Coop? Your mic's not on.
Roughly 3 minutes.
There's another 3 minutes.
Yeah,
a lot of time
left.
Look, probably he would have gotten stopped right there in that sequence. But, we've all seen crazier, situations where guys don't get finished there. And if he doesn't get finished, he probably wins the fight, or at least it's very, very close. He fought a great fight. Izzy fought a really great fight for the entire, the first 4 rounds, and then just got caught there.
Yeah, I guess Rogan said it during the card, which I thought was a great comment, which was that Izzy had to fight a perfect fight, whereas Alex Pereira did not. And Alex, there was times when Alex, was just sort of being out MMA'd, outfought, outpointed. It was a MMA game. Izzy was playing the MMA game better, right? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, Izzy, you're like, all right, being at the top of the MMA food chain, being longer in the sport. It showed, and I was like, "Oh, is he going to be able to get this victory over this guy?"
And also being an excellent kickboxer. Yeah. It's not as if like he can't hang at all in that department. So he did a good job. When he got on top of him, that was kind of cool. We've never really seen Israel Adesanya's top game at all. He certainly didn't look, for the level of UFC champion. He looked a little stiff on top and stuff, but he was holding him down and he was riding his back and getting the one hook in constantly. Took him down a bunch, controlled him pretty well. Yeah. Landed some shots.
It was an impressive performance by Israel Adesanya. I think he does deserve an immediate rematch. I think Izzy's been a long-time champion at 185. But look, this guy seems to have Izzy's number. Very interesting that for the rematch, Adesanya has opened as a favorite over Pereira, even though he's lost to him now for a third time, which is pretty crazy.
But only once in MMA, which is it is different. And I agree with you. You still have to count those other 2 fights as something. The interesting situation here, there's a couple things that are interesting. Number one, it's not just that Izzy was like a champion and lost a fight that he was winning up until the 5th round, which already would put you in the question of immediate rematch if you're the champion who was winning going into the 5th round. But he's also cleared out the division. So it's not as if there's like an obvious who else, you know, do you put him against? And there's not like there's like I mean, I guess Whitaker is the next kind of like guy in that division right now. Talk of Hamzat coming up.
And Pereira versus Whitaker is an awesome fight.
Yes, but right. The other thing that's interesting about this is that it does open up some questions. Pereira has proven that he can beat Israel Adesanya, but the fact that Izzy was able to, you know, have such like top control for a full round almost of that fight, and he couldn't get back to his feet. You look at it and you go, am I at all convinced that Khamzat Chimaev moving up to this weight class wouldn't be able to just tear through him? Am I convinced that Whitaker wouldn't be able to beat him? Like, no, it's a huge question mark. You know what I mean? So
it is. It's a stylistically very interesting fight. There are guys at 185 pounds who could unquestionably take down Alex Pereira and do a better job than Izzy did. Right?
If Izzy can do some damage,
super interesting, of course. But it's why it's amazing. It's why it's great that Pereira won. You know, I think Izzy has done enough to deserve a rematch. But I think, look, if they didn't give it to him and they said they want to put Whitaker in there, I would completely understand that. Does Whitaker have a fight coming up?
Yeah, he's going up against Paulo soon, Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
Okay, so forget that. That's a very good fight.
Holy shit. But if they said the winner of that fight was going to fight Pereira next, that would completely make sense. Give Izzy a little time off. Look, not for nothing. Like, Izzy got knocked the fuck out, right? He needs to come back, and he needs to come in with a strong fucking game plan against this guy, because when it comes down to just kickboxing, it seems like he's got Izzy's number, and Izzy's going to have to fight a truly perfect fight if they come back in a rematch. I'd like to see maybe some things mixed up a little bit at 185. That would be fun. And you're right, there are matchups. Not for nothing. Khamzat Chimaev, he just might be the truth at 185.
Who knows?
He might be. He is the truth at 170. I mean, I
He's
think
already calling for a matchup with Pereira.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the truth at 178.
It would be it's going to be he's going to be a problem, dude. He's going to be a problem. Just his style.
Listen, if Izzy takes you down at all, and if Izzy can hold you down at all, what the fuck can Khamzat Chimaev do to you?
And Khamzat, I don't know exactly the size discrepancy between Izzy and Khamzat, but Khamzat's a massive 170er.
It's not that crazy.
Izzy is not a big 185er.
And the level of wrestling that you're talking
Izzy's
about.
Izzy's a tall, long, lanky 185er.
Agreed. But I'm just saying the level of grappling difference between Israel Adesanya and Khamzat Chimaev, even if Israel's like a little bit bigger, there's such a gap in like ability there. Obviously, Israel Adesanya is a specialist, a kickboxer. But I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see that. Alex Pereira has a shot. He's got a fucking puncher's chance to fuck anybody up. But there are some really tough matchups out there for him. So a lot of interesting shit now.
Super interesting. I think it's interesting that Pereira opened up as an underdog. Do you think that's warranted? I favor him. When you really consider the style, right? He's got to catch Izzy. He can fucking strike, dude. He can catch his He has power in the fifth fucking round, dude. He stopped him in the fifth. You have to understand, like, that's really like, you see that and you go like, oh shit, dude, this guy has power throughout the entire fight.
After a round of grappling, you know what I mean? He was still able to knock him out in the fifth round. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. So yeah, look, dude, I'm a fan of Pereira. I'm glad that he won. I fucked up, and I during last week's show I said, hey, you know what? I usually pick against Izzy, and then I said I'm not going to though. Every time I do, I look like
cost him his run.
I know, I fucked up. So
Izzy, it's kind of it does feel a little bit like Israel Adesanya had an amazing run, beat some very, very tough guys. However, it does feel like it feels like in the moments when it would have gone almost like from being like, okay, you were like a very like a great champion to like legend status. Like he moved up to 205 to go become a champ and lost that fight. And now this was the fight that was like the rival from the guy who beat him in kickboxing twice and is doing great and then ends up losing that fight. It's almost like he just fell short of cementing himself as like legend status.
The reality is, there's not many. There's a handful of guys who are undefeated that are at the highest level. Become champions, stay undefeated, retire undefeated.
Yep.
It almost doesn't happen, right? We saw it with Khabib. We saw it with GSP to a certain degree. He wasn't undefeated, but he avenged those losses that he had in such a
dominant,
tremendous
fashion.
way that it was like he might as well have gone undefeated, right?
He avenged the losses in a way.
There was no question that he's the better fighter.
Yeah, no one would
question.
ever even think to fight.
There's
to
not
want to see those.
There's
fights.
not many people. So what happens is we're at an era of MMA fighters who love the smell of their own shit. And you see them come out and they go, dude, I'm the fucking next fucking god. And I'm unbeatable. And you go, nobody's unbeatable. There's like 2 or 3 guys ever that had those careers, like ever in the fucking history of the entire sport, dude. Like Fedor up until the end, like had like that type of career. GSP, Khabib. Who else is there that like
undefeated,
became champion, defended it, cleared out division, retired? I mean, nobody's done that really. And by the way, that didn't happen with Fedor. I mean, he ended up still fighting. But I will say he did enough. So that,
he did it for a very long time.
The loss at the end of his career, I almost like, I'm not going like, I feel like he did what I was sort of saying. Like even at the end, it was just sort of fighting to fight, right? Like just saying, active to compete. I don't think he was trying to be the best in the world.
No, I don't know. He was the champion when Fabricio Verdum tapped him out of whatever it was, Elite XC or Strike Force or whatever. But he did that for a very, very long time. But your point is a solid one, that these are, it's not like this is the 1% of fighters. This is the 1% of the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
There's like few guys
so
ever.
Izzy, it's almost like he might be a victim of loving the smell of his own shit.
No, but I'm just saying there are things.
It's a little different. Like Michael Bisping had tough losses and fucking came back from it. Like Izzy right now, depending, like he could literally go back to the drawing board and just fucking keep grinding, keep on getting better, and just literally just become better and better and better.
And if he comes back and wins his title, then that becomes like a fucking like legend status thing. I'm just saying.
But the problem is he sets himself up to be like, I'm this fucking unbeatable thing. I mean, you sort of say, when you love the smell of your own shit like that much, I feel like you set yourself up for everyone to, like, we're sort of looking past Izzy now.
We set him up.
It feels like his moment is past because now he's not the best of the best, but he can still very well come back and be the best.
No, I agree with that. I'm saying I think maybe we set him up more than he even sets himself up. Fighters are always going to have the mentality that they're the best and they can't be beaten and shit like that. I think you kind of have to have that mentality to be like a great fighter. But we look at everyone as like, especially someone like Izzy who comes in and was undefeated, becomes champion undefeated. Nobody can stand with him. No one can beat him. But there's something about like, there's clearing out a weight class. There's going up in weights.
Bring me the ice out of the fridge and the whiskey. Don't you pour me a cup of whiskey, you fucking savage. I'm sorry, dude.
But there's something about clearing out a division. There's something about moving up a weight class and winning another title. Now, to be fair, Khabib never did that. Other guys have. There's a small handful of guys who have done that, who have won titles in multiple divisions. And there's some really good guys who have gone for it and failed. But he went for it and failed. And then in this huge title defense, kind of like the first time that he fought another elite kickboxer in MMA, and he lost this one at the end. Again, I think there's a chance Izzy comes back and is champ again. I don't think he should be the favorite in the odds.
Crazy that he's a favorite. What does that have to do with? I guess the fact that he was winning the fight and he got caught.
He was winning the fight, and
but it's not. He didn't get caught. He got set up and fucking clinically taken out. So it wasn't like a big fucking Hail Mary at the end. It also wasn't like Pereira was getting dominated in the fight. It was a competitive fight that Izzy was winning, and Pereira was able to in the battle of attrition was able to say, no, I'm still this motherfucker at the very end in the 5th round, and Izzy wasn't that motherfucker at the end. Izzy started to fade.
Izzy had big moments in the fight at the end of the first round. He hit him with a huge shot. He landed good leg kicks in the fight. They both did. And he landed good leg kicks in the fight. He landed some good punches in the fight. He did get him down once and dominated that round when he was on the ground. But it's not as if Izzy was like dominating the fight. You know what I mean? It was a competitive fight. Yeah. And like to Rogan's point and to like the point you were making, it was very clear that like you're always in danger if you're fighting this dude and you're kickboxing with him. The dude's got like insane power. So yeah, I would have to think that Izzy should be a big underdog in that fight if they rematch, but not an underdog that's like, not that it's impossible. He could get it done. Yeah. He was very close to getting it done there. You know,
not crazy. I wouldn't. I would. That's it's a good fight. I would not put money on that fight either way at this point. Even after watching what we watched. The reality was Izzy could have not gotten caught. Izzy's probably kicking himself in the ass. He could have been like, you know what? I could have been more perfect. I could have fucking been in there in that moment. And there are guys that take that loss and step up the next time, or he can get in his fucking head. And this guy could be like, dude, this guy's got my number.
And the fact that
we don't know.
Yes. Well, the
who
fact
Izzy is and how that will affect him until we see the rematch.
So evidently, in their second kickboxing fight, Izzy was winning the fight before he got knocked out. And now again in this fight, he's winning the fight before he gets knocked out. So you could almost see, to your point, how that could easily, in your mind, go one of two ways. Like, one, you could take that as like, I'm better than this guy. He got lucky and caught me. You know what I mean? Or you could look at that as being like, no matter how good I'm doing against this guy, he's still going to fuck me up. And so all of that, it'll be an interesting test. One thing I like about Izzy a lot is that you got to admit, look, when he fought in his toughest fight before this one, when he fought Kelvin Gastelum, and he got fucked up in that fourth round, and in the fifth round before he goes out there, he like points at him and he's like, "I'm prepared to die," you know, that whole moment, and then goes out and fucks him up in the fifth round. Izzy isn't just a dude who like is a very technical kickboxer, or in some of his fights has fought a kind of boring, safe fight and will just stay at distance. When it comes to it and he's in there, he's got fucking heart, like real deal heart.
He does.
And that was on display, I thought, in this fight too. Like, even he didn't quit. He wasn't looking for a way out of that fight, even getting hit. He was trying to hang in there and still bob and weave and shit. I'd like to see him fight again for the title.
Yep.
Yo!